Live from the Dome, Ian's out this week, so I'm filling in for him. Last week in Colorado politics kicked off what could be the biggest battle of the 2019 legislative session. After years of inaction and partisan gridlock on the issue, it's finally time to take action to protect local communities from the damage that comes with oil and gas drilling next to people's homes, schools, and businesses. In order to understand what's really going on with this fight, let's get a couple of facts straight from the get-go. Right now, the oil and gas industry can override local zoning and drill in places they shouldn't. Ever played SimCity? You know that towns are divided up into different kinds of uses: residential, commercial, industrial. And in SimCity, just like the real world, you've got to be careful where you allocate different types of land use. You put industrial zones right up against your residential zones. Often the residential zones don't do so well. But that's the status quo in Colorado. Local communities don't have the power to decide where oil and gas drilling can happen. Local control over drilling decisions seems like a no-brainer, but Colorado's Old West heritage never planned for cities being built on top of mineral rights. It's time to fix that and get the state out of the business of promoting a for-profit industry over public health and safety while we're at it. For the bill's first hearing in the Senate on Tuesday, the oil and gas industry sent hundreds of employees from area companies to hold a spontaneous rally in opposition in a production that would make the North Koreans proud. Big Oil literally busted hundreds of paid protesters to protest on behalf of their bosses. Some local media, like Fox 31's Joe St. George, reported the so-called protesters were actually industry employees. Others didn't, but this protest was legit as Kim Jong-un's last birthday parade. Fortunately, it wasn't the whole story. In addition to the oil industry's employees, hundreds of regular Coloradans just like you came to the Capitol to show support for better protections for their homes, schools, and kids. Even after Big Oil busted all their protesters, more people testified in support of the bill than against. An incredible victory for proponents that came at almost 2 a.m. Wednesday morning.
In the last few years, I don't think I need to tell you that American politics have gotten kind of nasty. It seems like the days of Republicans and Democrats working together to solve our problems is a distant memory, and the results of every election is just a pretext for the next round of pointless obstruction and backstabbing. Voters are sick of it. There's no nice way to say it to Republicans, but they lost last November, and they didn't just lose. They lost their asses in a historic landslide, the biggest win for Colorado Democrats since the 1950s. As a result of that win, Democrats have some things they want to pass that Republicans don't like. One of them is a bill to align Colorado's electoral college votes to the national popular vote to prevent another situation where a guy who loses the popular vote by almost 3 million gets to be president. And you guessed it, Republicans are mad about that.
Founders feared the tyranny of the majority. In the Electoral College, the small states also have a say.
Now, it's okay for one side to be unhappy when the other side wins everything and then gets to work on their agenda, but in recent years, that hasn't been enough for Colorado Republicans. This week, the Colorado Springs Gazette reported that Republicans might try to recall 2 Democratic lawmakers over their support for the NPV bill. Republicans heard you like popular votes, so they want a popular vote to punish Democrats who won the popular vote. One of them was recently appointed, while the other won his seat last November by 23 points. This attempt probably isn't going to succeed, but it shows just how little Colorado Republicans care about the democratic process when it doesn't go their way. If somebody comes up to you and tells you that a lawmaker's support for one person, one vote is a reason to recall them, decline to sign.
Big 2020 news this week in Colorado is our recently retired 2-term governor, John Hickenlooper, announced that he's running for president. Hickenlooper held a rally Thursday in Civic Center Park after campaigning in the early presidential primary states of Iowa and New Hampshire. Of course, Hickenlooper isn't the only Democrat running for president. May not even be the only one running from Colorado. But now the rest of the country will finally discover the joy of spelling his name.
Hey guys. Finally, for a look ahead at the 2020 U.S. Senate battle in Colorado and how energy policy is going to play in that race, check out this week's story in National Journal exploring fossil fuel backlash. It's looming over Cory Gardner's re-election bid. Here's some of what Ian had to say in an interview for the story.
The walls are caving in on this guy. He has to fire up his base, which is why he endorsed Trump right away, but he's trying to have it both ways. His politics, his ideas, his values are out of step with Colorado, and quite frankly, I think they're out of step with the country. They're completely in line with oil and gas interests.
It's a story I expect to be written over and over as Gardner's day of reckoning approaches.
And that's a wrap for episode 7 of This Week in Colorado Politics. Thanks to everyone for watching, liking, and sharing this video and the others in this series. Drop us a line, check in on social media, or tell us what you think in the comments. See you next week.